Let's go back to Parliament for a couple of the interesting things that happened yesterday. At long last, we have an affirmative action law. Well, it awaits the president's, assent, but it's made its way through Parliament after years of coming in and out of it. Let's hear the Speaker making the declaration.
It's not been easy. We need to move together. It is not a bill for just women. It's a bill for all of us. It's a bill for development. This is the first stage. We have passed the law. We have to appropriate adequate resources for the ministry to lead the implementation of the provisions that we have enacted. So we've just started. Don't let's celebrate and don't really put in place the vision that we have created for the country. But more importantly, I hope that members will commit themselves to the constitutional reforms. We need to do more there to be able to create this free and just society we are looking for, to liberate more of our women, to be able to support us, to be able to develop Mother Ghana. With this, I thank all of you for your support, and may the good Lord continue to bless Ghana.
So I'd love to hear each of you on this, but before we get to this, let me add another one for you to review. Okay, this also happened in Parliament yesterday. There was a loan to be approved, an energy sector recovery loan. After all of this time in an IMF program when it was impossible to get a loan from anyone at any term, on any terms, suddenly we are able to borrow money, and we want to go and borrow $250 million to come and sort out our energy sector. Just that 90 million of it is supposed to be consultation fees. The minority was not having it. Listen to Muntaka.
If you find the attachment 8 and 9, I will need explanations because it reads as consultancy. And Speaker, if I put the two together, it's giving us 94.8 million US dollars. Speaker, you take 250 million. And then about 94.8 is going for consultancy. The Speaker, they should explain this properly. Because the Speaker, I want to beg this house. The Speaker, it is good that ECG be supported to carry out its core functions. Yes, it is true that we have a lot of challenges and we need to be able to improve it. But Mr. Speaker, if we have to take 250 and about 90 million of it should be consultancy, please, we need to reject this law. We don't need it. Because it is going to impoverish us.
Yeah. So these two things went down in Parliament yesterday. Thoughts?
Yes, I am happy that finally, and I was not hopeful we're going to get it passed because the indications not long ago were not good. Some people had difficulties with the bill. It is a step in the right direction if implemented right, because we've been at this conversation of ensuring a more equal, a more just, and a more prosperous society than we ensure participation in our electoral system, participation in our governance for all groups of people. And people forget that affirmative action is not just about women and men. It's also about persons with disability. It's about disadvantaged or vulnerable members of society being deliberately helped to even the space. So that conversation has been going on for a very long time. I said that in other areas we have moved on. For example, I heard the education minister say that when it comes to SHS, for example, there are more girls than boys in schools. Professor Atugba had told me one time ago that the University of Ghana School of Law has more than 78% of its population being female. So, of course, but the other areas that we are still lacking big time, which requires some conversations around this. I remember when the MPP said they had set aside 30% of its seats in Parliament for just women. It became a big issue. There were fights all over the country, and people did not think that certain people should be protected getting parliamentary seats and all of that. We need to, and we forget as far as the first Parliament, there was some protection of seats for women. We need to correct what systemic difficulties have made certain people be disadvantaged as we progress in our democracy. And to me, on the face of it, it appears to be a step in the right direction. But as with all laws in the Republic of Ghana, You wait to see implementation, whether it goes as well as the letter of the words in the bill. As for passing loans, see, frankly, I do not think that we have learned from all of this domestic debt exchange and the difficulties surrounding that, because we have not seriously had a conversation about what steps we truly need as a people to take beyond, so that we never get into this pit again. So if we get opportunity today and the Eurobond markets are open to us, we will be jumping out there with all the billions of amounts required. I will not sit here and condemn whether the 90 whatever is for consultation and say it is terrible, unless you know exactly what it's supposed to be for. But we spent quality time pretending that we're doing capacity building, and spent millions of dollars on that, where we had oil money available to us.
110 million.
Yes,
capacity building.
We tend
Mm.
to be quite problematic in our thinking. We tend to spend like there's no tomorrow. For a poor country that is easily driven into poverty and debt, we tend to behave in ways that are not acceptable. So a lot more sunlight is required on this. Do we really need to get this amount of money? If we need so, it's every element or peso of it justified.
And you see, the other point also is that when it comes to these times, a lot of the things and the loans we go for also sometimes are actually meant to cushion the Ghana city. A lot of it that we go for. So we look out for things that could get us loans and then we go for them. That just by the way. I agree with you, Raymond. I don't know what the consultant's fee was all about, but Parliament agrees that it's too much, and so the loan has been rejected. I'm sure they'll go back and do something about it. On the bit of the affirmative action law passed now, it's good that finally we've been able to pass that. And the good thing is that it's for all of us. Okay, I mean, I've heard people consistently talk about the fact that, the men too need, but this is for all of us. We're ensuring that there's equality, and that people who hitherto were not part of the governance process are brought in to become part of it. Participation is key. And so it's good. The thing about passing laws in this country, beg your pardon, is that we celebrate the passage of laws and not its implementation. So yes, we've passed it, but we must see to the implementation. That is the most important thing. After all, we established a Constitutional Review Commission. Went around the country. Today, where are we? We're still where we are.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, even when it gets to...
We formed another committee.
Yes, Implementation Committee. Constitutional Review Implementation Committee. We're still where we are. Where? And so, while it's good that at least the law has been passed, and so you've overcome the first hurdle, it's important we see to its implementation, and all of us would have a role to play in making sure that it's implemented. Yeah.
Two quick things. On affirmative action, I really hope we are learning from other parts of the world where this has been done as a sweeping policy, and even today, after maybe 4 or 5 decades of it, they are still yet to reach that parity. I hope we are learning from them. We are understanding what is unique about the implementation of this thing, so that when we are applying it to our own setting, we do it in a way that actually yields the result. That we don't just pass the law to tick a box, so we can say we have a law, but we implement it in a way that actually works, so that there will be opportunities equally available to both genders. And on the loan thing, again, you talked about how we celebrate passing laws, but we don't celebrate implementing them. Another thing we do is that we celebrate or we make a lot of noise about the input, but never about the output. Okay, so now even if this loan gets approved without or with an explanation for the $90 million, will it actually reform our energy sector? Like, how will it be applied to the sector? And what is the outcome we are expecting? So that if this money comes in and over the necessary time period, we don't achieve that goal, we can come back to these people who approved the loan and say, Massa, what was the point of this if we are still having to pay levies to reform the energy sector? You know what I mean? So no, absolutely, we need to monitor how this money is to be used. I hope we didn't just, like Winston said, just go for it because we want some dollars, but that it will actually be applied in a way that will bring improvement at the very least to our energy sector, which is in a shambles, in spite of us having the best energy minister ever. Okay, let's go into the.
We have had the
newspapers.
best energy minister ever.
Eh?
Let's get into the papers.
Have we not?
Who did that grading anyway? Anyway,
Let's
but
get into the papers.
The Daily Graphic is reporting this morning 6 new varsities ready for December. Ready December. This is Dr. Yaosaya Duchum speaking. And ministry launches app, call center to fix defective roads. That's also on the front page. There's another one about Fenyomakin proposes plan to tackle plastic waste. That's also there. But the biggest story is that forcing Jakpa freed, AG to appeal. And yesterday, the Attorney General was on Midday News on this network, telling us that he believes that the judgment was perverse and that the judgment would promote, if allowed to stand, abuse of office and also impunity. And he is trying to check that. So he will go to court. He believes that he had actually gone through. But I would advise everybody to take time. It's 125. It may sound like a very long judgment. Take time and read first Justice Akabuafo's dealings. He deals with all the issues that the AG raised in the press statement that he released. And there was support of a sort, additional help in understanding. This one, it's in some language that you can decipher or get help in deciphering. Also, what Justice Mensah added on. You can also read the other view that was suggested. That's why it's 2-1 in that particular ruling. But we hope to see what goes on from there, since he says that he is appealing. We sat here and told the special prosecutor, when he went to do press conferences, using similar words, that the people are not promoting or helping him to fight corruption, that it was not the best of words to use. I've heard the Ghana Bar Association say the same to the Attorney General, and others disagree with the description of the judgment. Hopefully he learns something from that. And I'm expecting those who are very vociferous in calling out the OSP to equally do so under the very circumstance and say that, just like we told the OSP, you equally cannot be using similar terms. That when you disagree with the judgment, it means that it's actually going to promote abuse of office and impunity. Anyway, but that's the biggest story on the front page of the Daily Graphic.
And the new finder says GSE post robust growth, shares valued at 87.9 million traded in June. Court of Appeal frees Atofo Singh and Jakpa. Attorney General hints at appeal, and that story that you talk about is also here. So yes, once the Attorney General says he's unhappy about it, I agree. Take advantage of the legal process, which is
and exhaust it.
Exhaust it. So he's going back to court. Fine, go back to court, and if you're successful, if you're not, you take it like that. And one of the things I like about Chachuchi Kata is that even if the Supreme Court in a ruling against him is 5-0 or 7-0, he still will appeal. Because because you must exhaust the legal process.
That is what you like about him.
I like him for that. Because you must convince yourself that you tried everything. Sometimes you could be successful. Sometimes you may not be successful. And so I have seen people say, no. If you feel strongly that this is wrong, exhaust the process. And so I see nothing wrong with Godfred Yabuadami wanting to exhaust the process. He should calm down and resort to the courts.
You have to put yourself in their shoes. This was the rug being swept from under their feet in a very, very surprising way. An appeal that was put in over a year ago. This case has continued in the High Court for so long, and then suddenly Court of Appeals makes their ruling, and it just overturns everything.
Because that's how the law works, isn't it? And so at every point in time, just like you would say to everybody, at every point in time, if you're unhappy about the court's ruling, you know what to do. Challenge it at the appropriate courts, which is still through the courts. And GIPC reports 15% increase in new business registrations.